Claudio's got something to add to it, so let's do it.
Yes, but first I want to ask you a question because I want to know your point of view from this. Because I heard you saying that something is unreasonable. And I think you were talking about the content not coming from our brains. I heard you saying the brain states are related to the mind. And
Yeah.
what do you think dreams come from? Where do you think the content of the dreams come from?
Dreams? Are you saying dreams? Where dreams come from?
Yeah, dreams. Yes. Because the discussion was also related to lucid dreams. And by the way, I'm kind of like experiencing in all of the above, in dreams, lucid dreams, meditation, out of body. If you want to say that really out of body, that's questionable. But I want to focus on dreams right now.
Okay. So you're
So I
asking
want
like
to know first your stance on dreams. Where do you think they come from?
your brain.
Okay. And Matt, do you agree with that too?
I don't even know that it's fair to say. I don't even know that it's fair to say where do dreams come from. I don't know that they come from anywhere. Dreams are what the brain does. Just like, I mean, they're.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking about. Let's see if you agree with me that dreams are information, and I hear you saying that they are simulations.
No, you didn't hear me. No, you didn't hear me. No, you did not hear me say that dreams are simulations. You definitely did not hear that.
Well, maybe I heard you wrong, but something related to that, I think, because you mentioned Unreal, the software Unreal Engine.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Instead of listen. Yeah. Instead of talking about what you think you heard me say, why not just talk to me now and talk to Shannon now and find out what our thoughts are, what we're going to agree to, what we think, etc.
Yeah, I think the difference between what you guys are saying and me is that I don't think the default should be to assume that the content of dreams come from our brains. I mean, exclusively. They can have some partially information from dreams, but there is a possibility that there is information that doesn't come from our own brains.
How do you know? Okay, you say it's possible.
I don't find that unreasonable.
Hey, stop. You say it's possible that there's information in dreams that don't come from our brains. How do you know that's possible?
Right.
How do you know that's possible?
Why not? I mean, shouldn't the default be they don't know?
No.
Why not?
You don't. Would you stop? You don't get to say it's possible, and then when I ask, how do you know it's possible? You're like, well, why not? You don't get to push the burden of proof on me to prove it's not possible. You're claiming something is possible. You need to be able to demonstrate that it's possible. How is it possible that some parts of dreams aren't a product of the mind?
Well, I can switch the burden of proof of you because you claim that the brain generates dreams. I don't know if it was Shannon. You just claimed that. I mean, can you prove that brains generate dreams?
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so Mark Solms wrote a really great book about it that you can read. I can't remember the title of the book, but Mark Solms wrote an amazing book and did a lot of the seminal research on this in the field of like psychology and neuroscience. I'm going to mute you. You asked me to answer
I'm going to mute you, so
I'm going to answer it for you now. So if you read through his book, it's a really great piece of literature. And it goes through a lot of how he found, kind of like the neuroscientific source of dreams. He studies emotions really heavily because he has a background in doing like Freudian psychoanalysis along with neuroscience and kind of married the two fields. So he did a lot of like brain stem research and like midbrain structure research to discussing like how emotions can activate memory nodes and kind of like do a combination of like emotional experience with like reconfiguring components of memory. And they utilized MRI machines to see like the consistency in the activation nodes within certain subsections of the brain during the dream states, and then married those to the type of circadian rhythms that lull us into a state of sleep and then go into a REM cycle. Like there's some neurochemistry involved in it, but you don't get dreams elsewise. Like unless you have these physiological states, you don't get dream states. So lucid dreaming happens when you like a part of your brain kind of like misfires and gives you the malfunctioning of awareness when you should usually be in like a paralysis state. So you usually wouldn't be aware because you're in a paralysis state, but have a little bit of awareness, but still have the neurochemistry, like the GABA levels and the dopamine levels are as it would be, and your circadian rhythms are as they would be when you were in a REM cycle. So it's all very, very well mapped out. So I'm not
But
sure why you would think that there would be something that is external to the brain when it's so very clearly tied to the brain. And so it's a relatively well understood aspect of neuroscience. I just don't understand how you could say it would be elsewise.
let's
Yeah.
see.
Okay.
Claudio,
Can you hear me?
Claudio, wait.
Yeah, I'm here. Okay.
Claudio, stop talking. Do you think, Claudio, that the brain produces thoughts?
I would say I'm not sure. I know there is a correlation between the brain and thought. But anyway, let me give you, I mean, the difference between what you guys state and what I state, and the default is that the default shouldn't be to assume that everything comes from the brain.
No,
default should
Claudio,
be-
stop. You're not listening and you're not thinking. I asked a question. Do you believe that thoughts come from the brain? And you said you're not sure. Of what are the
Right.
possible, list the possible origins of thoughts and how you know they're possible origins.
Well, let's see if we agree on something. They come from our minds. I mean, our consciousness experience dreams, right?
Oh my fucking God. List the
I mean, am I wrong?
potential
Prove me wrong.
list.
Don't
Why
they come
can
from
you
our
not
consciousness?
answer? Why can you not fucking answer what I'm asking?
I cannot hear it.
List the potential origins of thoughts. What are they?
Yeah, they're information. We experience
No,
stuff.
no, Claudio, maybe this is a language thing. I said list the potential origins, sources. What things do you think can produce thoughts, and how do you know that those things can produce thoughts? What are the things that you think
Consciousness.
can produce?
Consciousness.
Where does consciousness come from? What is consciousness?
I mean, don't you think right now? Are you thinking? I mean,
Why is it?
that's
Why is
consciousness.
it? Why is it? Shut the fuck up. Why is it that when I ask a question, you answer it, and then you ask a question before I can even get to the response to it? Let's try this again. You think thoughts come from consciousness. What are the list the potential origins, sources for consciousness?
It doesn't have to have an origin. It can be fundamental. Do you know what idealism?
Claudio, stop.
Do you know about idealism? Answer me.
Stop. Claudio, stop. I'm trying to get to some point of clarity so that we can talk about the same subject and not talk past each other. So you're saying that consciousness does not need an origin. How do you know that?
It's not like I know that. That's a philosophical view. It's called
No.
idealism.
I'm
So
asking
materialism is
you.
not the only.
Okay, I'm going to mute you. And in the future, I'm going to ask a question, and then I'm going to unmute you, and you're going to answer the question, and then I'm going to remute you because you don't know how this works. You are saying that thoughts come from consciousness, and consciousness does not require an origin. What is the relationship between the brain and consciousness? It's your turn.
I wasn't hearing you.
What is the relationship between the brain and consciousness?
Yeah, I mean, brain states are correlated to consciousness.
Okay.
By
So
the way,
brain state.
I think we are
brain
not
state-
going.
Stop.
We're not going
Stop.
anywhere.
Stop.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up. I don't
Well,
need you
you
to.
shut the fuck up. I mean,
Okay, goodbye, jackass.
I think he's trying to like, isn't idealism the idea that thought creates reality?
I don't know, because I can't
Because
even
he would-
think. I'm desperately trying to get to some sort of agreement, because Claudio is incredibly confused. Claudio thinks that when we say the brain produces thoughts, he's like, oh, you're saying it's only the brain. No, we're not. You, Claudio, are trying to claim that there's something other than the brain involved. And when you claim that, you have now adopted a burden of proof. You're saying there's more than the brain involved. And we're asking you, how do you know that? And your answer was, how do you know it's not? Which makes this entire conversation a fucking waste of everybody's fucking time. Because if you call in to say, I think there's more to thought and dream than the brain, cool. What do you think there is? What more is there other than the brain? Why do you think that there's something other than the brain involved? And if your answer is, because you can't prove it's not just the brain, we're not asserting it's just the brain. Just like if I find a dead body and there's a person standing over that dead body holding the bloody knife, and we have video footage of them stabbing that person, I'm going to say that right now, the evidence builds a story that this person in the videotape who stabbed this person with the knife, who is still standing here holding the knife, is responsible for the murder. And you're coming in and saying, well, how do you know it's just them? Okay, what do you think it could be? Could be an evil spirit took over their body and made them do it. Great. How do you know that's possible? And then how do you demonstrate that it's likely? If you can demonstrate that it is in fact possible and likely that an evil spirit took over somebody's body, and that's why we have video footage of them stabbing someone, I will agree that they are not solely responsible for the murder. But in the meantime, this strong correlation between brains thinking thoughts, brains having dreams, is the only thing we can point to where there is that correlation. If you want to claim there's correlation to something else, you need to make the case for that. And you don't make the case for that by saying, you can't prove it's not true.
Well, I feel like you kind of almost can too, because I think most metaphysical schools of thought surrounding consciousness don't do a sufficient job of overcoming the interaction problem. They either they ignore it. So, and idealism, which it sounds like is what he was leaning towards, just basically states that your mental states make reality. So reality is kind of comprised of the manifestation of mental states, but you still can't explain the source of those mental states, even in that philosophical school. So it doesn't seem to me like it's almost indistinguishable from like a sort of solipsistic sort of view, only it has extra steps to me. So I don't think that he was barking up the right tree anyway when he was yelling, you don't know what idealism. I'm like, yeah, I have a general idea what idealism is, but I don't really think that it's a school of thought that's worth subscribing to, for reasons that I didn't really get a chance to go into with him because he wouldn't stop yelling about stuff.
It is very, he's calling in about a call from last week. And the person last week was saying, I had these experiences, and that is sufficient to confirm that there's something beyond this reality. And what I pointed out was, you can't reach that conclusion. And when they said, I had these dreams, and I said, that sounds like lucid dreaming. It sounds like, in some cases, sleep paralysis, things like that. How do you distinguish between a dream and this? Claudio is saying, it could be a dream, but it might have a source other than the brain. And you can't prove that that the brain is the sole source. At no point did I ever claim that the brain is in fact the sole source. I just pointed out that the brain is the only source that we can identify. If you have another source, you have a burden of proof. And when asked to prove it, if you're just like, well, why couldn't it be? No, you don't get to say, hey, prove that I'm wrong. This is not the prove I'm wrong show. We will do it on occasion when you present something that's actually falsifiable. But you don't get to call in and say, maybe when you're dreaming, you're getting a transmission from somewhere in the multiverse where you're like Scarlet Witch, and you have now transported and somebody else has taken over your body. So this thing that you interpreted as a dream is actually a real thing and somewhere else in the multiverse. That's really cool. Now demonstrate that there's any reason to believe that's true. Oh, well, you can't prove it's not true. Correct. The fact that something is unfalsifiable means that it is useless. It doesn't mean that it's true.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jimmy Snow. I'm the executive producer of The Line. And at night, I sneak into Matt Dillahunty's house and I trade his cereals for other cereals. He comes out and he's like, wait, these are cereals I buy, but I swear I had different cereals. Anyway, would you like to support this channel or any specific show? You can do so over on Patreon or in channel memberships. There are special tiers for special shows or for the channel at large, and it helps us expand programming as well as hopefully very soon launch it in podcast form. Now, also, if you'd like to support, you can like, you can subscribe, you can leave a comment or a super thanks, which is a special highlighted comment that you pay for. Those are fun. And, screw the algorithm, go check out something over here, I suppose. Boy, I hope I can still put those icons there, because if I can't, this is going to look really stupid. I'm going to go buy some Cocoa Puffs and switch out Matt's mini wheats now.